Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here today for our conversation with HealthStream and Pineapple Academy about educating a multi-generational workforce. Today's generational blend in the workforce adds invaluable diversity, but it also brings added complexity, right? It's important to honor and recognize all generations for their strengths and the valuable contributions they make. But as organizations look to retain their top talent and provide professional development opportunities for their staff, leaders have to consider how their decisions and investments into education are adopted by all ages. So today we're going to be talking about best practices for engaging a multi-generational workforce. Here to share insight is Greg Gorgone, president of one of HealthStream's lovely expert partners, Pineapple Academy. Pineapple Academy's ability to focus learning on short video content proves how innovative education can bridge the gap for staff-wide learning needs. So what a challenge it is, right, to understand generational needs and what it takes to build a competent team across all ages. So where do we start? Greg, on average, Pineapple Academy training video is no longer than 3.5 minutes. That's what I've learned, right?
That's
We
right.
tend to consider how younger generations need quick hitting video content to stay engaged. But how do you see this type of education supporting multiple generations? What do you think?
Right. Well, it's great to be here. Thank you for asking me to speak about this, one of my favorite subjects. So I want to put things in perspective for a moment. When I started coming up in the food service world, there were no computers. There was no smartphones. There wasn't even an internet, believe it or not. And so, we learned by what we used to call on-the-job training. Granted, I did go to a school that taught me some fundamentals and basics, but once you get out in the work world, the reality between work and what goes on in school can be very different, let's face it. So how do you learn on the job? How do you embrace that? And so, back then it was the new guy would get teamed up with the person that supposedly had the experience and the knowledge base to teach you the same job because they do a similar function. And that person may or may not be a good trainer. That person may or may not really know everything, or that person might be having a bad day. I mean, who knows what goes on, right? And so that's 40 plus years ago, and you fast forward 40 years, and guess what? That technology of on the job training really hasn't changed too much over the years. What's changed are the workforce. What's changed is how we approach the workforce. And so computers and the internet and cell phones and all the other technology wonders that we have at our disposal now really have not played too much of a role in the training of the frontline staff. Now, granted, most frontline staff are comfortable using a smartphone or using the software they're assigned to use. Like in a restaurant scenario, you might have like what's called a point of sale system. Everybody sees that, the little gadgets, they sit there and they place your order or give you your check and all these things. So even people in my age group, we've gotten accustomed to seeing that. We understand that. We know how to use a QR code. We know how to use the internet and all that stuff, and it's all good. And some of the things that we all agree on, regardless of age, is we like to watch videos. We like to be either entertained or informed or learn something or whatever, whether you're a movie buff or you just like to be on TikTok watching 30-second videos of cats. I mean, whatever makes you happy, it's happening in the world today. And it doesn't matter how old you are. It can be a 6-year-old or a 66-year-old. Everybody's on some sort of device watching videos. And so what we learned at Pineapple is that the short videos is actually the most effective video, and there's science around this, that we're able to retain that information better and longer. And so when you stop and think about, somebody learning a new job and they're reading maybe a policy procedure, well, it's like they're trying to visualize, well, what does that look like? Particularly if they've never worked in that space before, like, plug in the slicer and put on this thing and set the blade to whatever. I mean, there's all these details that just happen, with experience. But if you've never seen it, done it, whatever, and you're looking at it on a piece of paper, well, how do you know what that's supposed to look like? But if you watch a 20-second video that shows you how to plug that thing in, set the blade, and get it ready for production, you will never forget it. It'll just be in your head forever, right? And so what you find with video, you're able to take a piece of knowledge and give it to that person in a medium that they will look at, whether it be a learning management platform like HealthStream, or on a cell phone or a tablet, whatever, and suddenly, boom, you're learning something. You've just learned a new piece of information for your job and make you more successful. So that's where the generational aspect, I think, comes in, is to understand that we all like video. We all can take advantage of it. There's good videos and there's bad videos. It's just like everything else in life. It's like, so what force are you going to be? You're going to be force for good or a force for, not doing very good things. So, teaching people about food service, particularly in hospitals and senior living and things like that, that's a pretty high calling. It's very important that people understand the basics and the fundamentals of the work they're supposed to do, because it affects people directly. We have to keep people safe. We have to keep our team members safe, keep ourselves safe, and then, of course, our residents and patients, we got to keep them safe. And so it's really important that we train them, regardless of their skill sets and their age and where they're at in their career development. We need to teach them those fundamentals quickly, so they feel safe and comfortable where they're working.
Well said, Greg. In that same realm of feeling safe and comfortable where they're working, as leaders, we've got to make sure that we're creating an age-friendly environment.
Yes.
And we've got to make sure that we're focusing on activating age-inclusive culture. Culture doesn't just happen. Well, culture can happen, but good culture, healthy
Yes.
culture doesn't just happen. You've got to make a pointed effort to create that and foster that, right? So what example can you share of an organization who's successfully used short video content to reduce staff turnover, but also create a more healthy culture?
Right. It's a great question. And this is something we've been working on, for the last, 6 years at Pineapple, is to develop these tools and put out best practices. And we work directly with our customers to get their feedback, and we learn from that, and then we teach other customers best practice, right? And that's what we're doing right now, you and I, talking to your audience. And so one of the things that we have found with one of our more successful clients is, not only did they look at Pineapple as a training tool, again, a modern version of on-the-job training. All you're trying to do is take a piece of information and give it to somebody in a digital format so they can learn what they're supposed to do. And do it in a way that is recognizable. When you watch our videos, we're literally in a kitchen, or we're in a dining room, or we're on the loading dock, or we're in the dumpster area. Whatever the subject that we're trying to teach, that's where we're physically standing while we're shooting this stuff and explaining it. So this organization looked at that. They love what we did. And then, like, wow, how are we going to make this successful? You just can't say, here you go, watch this, and move on. You've got to create some buzz. You got to create excitement, but you also have to motivate people. And so what this organization did is, when they created their budget, they accounted for what it was going to cost to use subscriptions from Pineapple for watching the videos, but then they also invested in technology. They put a big TV in every kitchen so they could do group training. So now what happens every day, everybody gathers together and they watch a video together and they talk about it. So each day, the leaders and the managers and supervisors have that opportunity to touch with that team member and talk about the subject of the day. And so in that one moment, everybody's together and it's short again, right? These are average 3.5 minute videos. So, you can have a stand-up meeting that's less than 10 minutes. And yet in that 10 minutes, you're creating community, communication, you're showing respect by teaching people things about the world they're in and then getting their feedback. And so in just by buying, a $200 TV from Walmart and throwing it up there, you can do this, right? And it's a inexpensive investment into your people. The other thing they did is they created training lineups with dates. So like for onboarding, they have a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding. So now we have a structured environment because there's certain things from a regulatory point of view and just from a practicality point of view, we need people to know in the first 30 days. And then we can assess what they need for 60 days and 90 days in each position. That's the other thing that we need to understand is that every job is different and every job has different skill sets. So we have to make sure that they're getting the training for their job. Now, cross training is fantastic and I highly recommend it, but let's get that person settled in and make them competent in their job that they got hired for, and then we can let them expand. The other thing they did is they attached bonuses and pay raises to their education. So now it's like, now you're financially incentivized to do it. So it just becomes a win-win-win for everybody. And so the net result after running our program for a year, they had like a 20% drop in turnover. Their engagement, their employee satisfaction scores went up. And so, think about yourself when people pay attention to you or investing time and attention and energy into you, how does that make you feel? It makes you feel pretty good, right? Like you're being seen, you're being heard, people understand where you're at, and it's like you haven't been doing this for 20 years, you're brand new. So but that's all good. I would rather take somebody with no experience in a situation and train them the right way to get them going than hiring someone that supposedly worked in a similar type operation and come in with bad habits or just a lack of knowledge or think they know something and they really don't, and unfortunately that happens too. So yeah, so that was it was a very inspiring story for us, and it's just been a great experience working with them, and we literally talk to this one customer every single month to hear about all their innovations and wins, and we and then we pass that on to other people too. By the way, we
Yeah.
think it's important to share that knowledge.
Wow, what a cool story. They really
Yeah,
dove in and just invested not only certainly the financial investment, but also just the time investment and the thought investment into how
exactly.
do we make the most of
They're
that
very
program.
mindful. I think that's a good word to use is, be mindful. Some organizations have a human resource department and they're, obviously focus on HR related things and regulatory compliance and things like that. But when it comes to the job itself, it's really the people in that department, the department head, the unit managers, the supervisors. That team is really the ones who do the onboarding into that department. And so, HR has its roles, but they're not going to teach a pot washer how to fill a 3 compartment sink and do pots and pans. They're not. They
Right.
don't even know how to do it. But that's beside the point. So it's really important that managers and department heads really understand, like, hey, over to you now. What's your program?
Yeah. Well, last question for you in that same
Yeah.
realm as well. What advice would you give to aspiring leaders who want to make a meaningful difference and create that age-friendly culture through education? Where do they start?
Wow, that's awesome. So, the first thing I would say to anybody who wants to move into a leadership position is, start with the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are really understanding what empathy is and understanding what the team members are going through every day. One of the biggest advices I ever got, and I did it throughout my operational career, is I was not in my office. I would get out of the office and I would go and see every single team member that I was working with that day and check in on them and say hello, then you get to know them a little bit. And so the more that you invest into the relationship between you and the team as individuals, the better off you're going to be, because then that gives you the ability then to have deeper conversations about education and training and inspiration. It also makes it easy for you when you have to correct something, because now you're no longer a threat or the person micromanaging out there. You're the person that just supports everybody and gives them the tools and the things they need to do a good job in. And so my experience in my life has been the vast majority of people want to do a good job. They just do. And so granted, when you find those people that don't want to do a good job, and they're out there, I understand that. I'm not unrealistic about it. Well, then you kind of invite them to leave, set them free, as we like to say, and focus on those that want to be there and want to do a good job, and life will be pretty good.
Wow, amazing, Greg. Thank you so much for this
So,
conversation. Um, a lot of really wonderful knowledge floating around, a lot of really great ideas that you shared. Just very appreciative of your time, and thank you.
well,
Thank you.
thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the
Yeah.
opportunity.
So for those watching today, we hope you'll share this information with others at your organization as we all work together to foster culture of inclusivity and belonging and improve care outcomes. Thanks for watching.